So hi everyone, welcome to the next installment in my organ technology series. Last time we took a little tour of a 340 Rodgers theater organ that I had acquired, and it had a fun story and I had some history with that specific instrument, and that was kind of fun to look at. Now today we're going to do something a little different. First of all, I'm shooting with my new camera, my Zoom Q2N 4K. I've been wanting one of these little cameras for a long time. I like them for the kinds of things that I do, and so I did a little tour video at a church. We'll take a look at that in a moment, and I decided, well, let's do the rest of the video with it as well and see how that works out. The Zoom Q2N is nice because it's both a high-resolution video recorder and a high-resolution sound recorder. So for the kinds of things that I'm always up to, it's really kind of perfect as my main camera. So this will allow me to do some more shooting in the field of actual video rather than just, putting a bunch of still shots together. In past videos, I've shot facing the computer here with the webcam, and then I just insert videos, or not videos, but still shots that I took of whatever it is we're talking about, and I don't think that's quite as interesting as it could be. So now I have a nice new camera to play with, and so we're going to play with it. Now you can see the studio is arranged a little differently. I'm getting ready to record some new original music, a piece that's going to tell a story beginning to end. It's a collaboration with another artist, and it's going to be a lot of fun, so there'll be more of that. Now today what I thought we would do is take a look at an early Rodgers digital organ. A little different architecture is the way they're set up, and so a recent church installation gave me an opportunity to take a closer look at this. So digital technology was first applied to the organ back in the 70s. What was done was that company did make samples of pipes in that, like we think of where you make a little recording of an actual organ pipe. But that's not really what you heard in the final product. That sample was used as data to create a digital synthesis that mimicked the same harmonic pattern. That was a way of getting it done with the less sophisticated technology of the 70s. And if you go back to the 70s and you listen to one of those early digital organs, and you listen to what Rodgers was doing with analog technology, and naturally the digital technology progressed forward, as did the analog technology. But by the 1990s, Rodgers made the decision to go digital, and what they decided to go with was sample playback. Now, there's basically three ways you can build a digital organ. You can go out and make a bunch of recordings of windblown pipes, and you can simply play those recordings back as you're playing the instrument. That's called sample playback. The other way you can do it is you can use that as reference material and create a digital additive synthesis, and you play that back when you hit the keyboard. You can do what is now called physical modeling, and that's really just a much more sophisticated form of digital synthesis. So there's all these ways to do it. I think most of us agree that sample playback offers the most realistic results. Rodgers and several other digital organ companies use sample playback, and if you've ever played around with the software program called Hopwerk is sample playback, and everybody loves that. Now, when we were looking at analog organs, they are wired kind of in a similar way to like a unit pipe organ. In the case of a Rodgers instrument, you have a bank of oscillators providing the tone. Then you have like a flute keyer and a diapason keyer and maybe a reed keyer. And from there, everything is wired in the way you would wire it as if those were unit ranks of pipes. On a digital organ, we have a very different architecture. and I'll kind of explain the basic layout of that architecture as we take a look at a Rodgers 940 installation I did in a little town called Kingsburg. So before I button everything up, now we're wrapping up the installation here of this 940 in this nice little church here in Kingsburg, California. So we take a little tour of what's inside. Now you can see this is very, very different from what we see in the analog organs that I'm usually working on projects that we've done. So, I mean, this is a whole other world. Now this is a PDI organ from the 1990s, so it's the first, among the first digital organs that Rodgers built. It also is still highly sought after because these really do sound very nice to this day. Now, instead of a lot of racks and racks of analog circuitry, we have a whole different layout here. This is essentially our main computer, and this has all of the processing and all of the what are called voice cards where the samples are stored. This uses sample playback. Sample recordings of actual windblown pipes are taken and stored and played back, just like Hopwork if you've ever fiddled with that program. This is our main power supply, and this provides power for all of the organ, the keying, the stops, the main computer, all of that good stuff. If we come over here a little bit, this is our amplifier. It's an 8-channel built-in amplifier, has its own power supply circuits. This is the shroud, of course, on the expression pedals, and that's just like we see on analog instruments. Now, the first digital instruments had analog controls on the preamp circuits. So basically, this is our preamp for our main amp. So the audio output of our main computer here is on this gray cable, comes in here, and it's broken out into 8 channels. We have 1 and 2 are the swell, left and right. 3 and 4 are the grate and pedal, left and right. 6 and 7 are the choir, left and right. And then, or 5 and 6, and then 6 and 7 are our subwoofer, which is usually 100 cycles and below. We also have outputs for additional speakers. You can separate the festival trumpet, you can have an antiphonal. Now, I would like to sort this little issue out. I was told by the factory that the 940 was not prepared to play pipes. However, it has all of the appropriate controls on the console, and the output is present on our main output board here. So I would like to get some clarification of that, because there is a situation where one of these earlier digitals would be perfect for a church that I work with, but I would need it to be interfaceable with pipe ranks. This is the secondary power supply, and I believe that provides power for our preamp circuits and our output circuitry here. And, well, that's pretty much it. It's not that complicated, is it? Well, it is and it isn't. The basic architecture is much simpler than what you would have in one of the analog instruments, but believe me, the circuitry is much more complicated internally. With digital organs, unlike analog organs, with analog organs you kind of have to fix things down at the component level, and sorting which of the hundreds and hundreds of circuits are at play can be problematic. With a digital instrument, it's more a matter of figuring out which of the circuit boards has failed. In the box here, of course, we have a back plane and then several circuit boards plugged into that. One's the main processor, one's the combination setter, and then there's a bunch with all of the voice storage on it. And so if a certain group of stops fails and we know that one of these is the problem, we pop that out. Rodgers continues to provide support parts for these organs built in the 90s, so this is a very serviceable, very reliable instrument. It certainly has proven itself over the years, and they still sound really terrific. So I'd like to, at a future date, and those will pop up on YouTube, I might come in here and make just some performance recordings. There's talk about me doing a kind of a dedication recital, and so when we get to doing that, we'll certainly make a recording of it, and that will be fun. Now the Rodgers 940 that you just saw is from that first generation of digital organs built by Rodgers in the 1990s. And they're still pretty highly sought after by people looking for a less expensive used instrument. A lot of thought was put into that instrument. And you know, if you sat down and compared the 940, the PDI technology, to our latest DS Core technology, if you go note by note, sample by sample, yeah, you're going to notice a big difference. But when you sit down at those PDI organs from the 90s and you just make music, they produce a satisfying musical result. The sounds are all beautiful. Maybe they're not as realistic as what we put out today, but they're still beautiful to listen to, and you still get good musical results. So as we go forward with these organ technology videos, I don't know that I'm going to get much opportunity to do much more about that 340. I figured I was going to do several videos of that 340, and I may still do that, but I also didn't expect that I was going to have an instant buyer for the 340, because as soon as I put out there that I had this Rodgers 340 I was going to fix up, everybody said, hey! And a friend of mine from here in the local area decided he wanted it, and we worked out a deal. It's at his house. Now, certainly, if I'm there and we're doing something, I'm going to take my new camera, we're going to shoot, we're going to show you what we're doing and why and all of that, so we'll have more about the Rodgers 340. I do have a Rodgers 333, and that was, you know, one step down from the 340 in the theater organ model line. That's going to be coming soon. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks I'll be going to pick that up. And that's going to come here to my shop at the house here, and we're going to work on it and see what it is. I have no idea what kind of condition that thing might be in. We might be in for a big surprise, or one direction or the other, so we'll just see. Plus, I have made the decision that my 33E, I'm going to go ahead and start gutting that out, and I'm going to turn that into a Hopvert MIDI controller. And I've got some fun little experiments planned for that project. You know, thumb pistons are, if you buy traditional thumb pistons, they're kind of expensive. But I have found a way to maybe do thumb pistons that's a little inexpensive and more versatile in some ways. And I'll be doing that as an experiment on the 33E to see if it really works well. So we'll have some fun stuff to look forward to. Probably the next video I'm going to do right away is we're going to take a tour of another digital organ, this time a Johannes instrument, where we had a really unusual repair situation, and hopefully that'll be coming up very soon. Thanks again for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.